Welcome to the Department of Planning, Lands and Heritage webinar series showing how to lodge Aboriginal heritage information through the Acknowledge portal. My name is Aidan Ash and I'd like to acknowledge and pay my respects to the Whadjuk Noongar people whose land I'm recording this webinar on. I'd also like to extend that acknowledgement and respect to Aboriginal people and lands throughout the state of Western Australia. So in these slides we're going to show how to prepare and submit Aboriginal heritage information through the Acknowledge portal. So a user would need to sign up through the instructions of the Acknowledge portal. If you've already signed up, then you'll be able to, when you come to the portal, you'll automatically sign in. When you go to the home page, you'll see your other submitted applications. If you've previously submitted ACH submissions before or drafted them, they'll appear in your home page here. And any other notifications from the department that might have been sent to you about an existing application. So to submit Aboriginal heritage information, you'd go to the Register of Places and Objects. There's some information about what happens when you submit information. It becomes a government record. We'd also stress that if culturally sensitive information is being submitted, that will be restricted information internally within the Department of Planning, Lands and Heritage database, and that information will only be given out with authority from the knowledge holder who provided the information. There are some situations, such as native title processes, where that information will be distributed, but there'll be watermarks across that information stating that it is culturally sensitive and restricted information. So the first part, you'd confirm that your personal details are correct and up to date. You'd also indicate whether you are an Aboriginal person with knowledge of that place, or if you're a non-Aboriginal person submitting the information. One of the first questions is about whether the information you're submitting is about a place or an Aboriginal site that is already on the DPLH database. So if you're providing extra information for a place that is already on the register, then you tick yes in this section here to say that you're providing additional information about an already reported place. If it's new information about a site that hasn't been reported, you click no. The next section is about describing the boundary of that site. This can be challenging in some cases because for places where the values of that site are not tangible, however in the landscape it is a tangible representation of the landscape. The boundary is very important to be established where the Aboriginal site heritage values exist. So the intention is not to have buffers or areas where the site does not exist within the boundary. The boundary that you choose and you submit, it really has to represent where that Aboriginal site exists. Because in terms of the legislation and Aboriginal Heritage Act 1972, the Act applies to where the site exists. And that the Act doesn't apply to buffers or where the site doesn't exist. So the boundaries are very important to get to be accurate. So when submitting the information, you're able to use the map viewer within the Acknowledge portal. And this has got several useful tools that may be of use when you're locating the place that you want to report. To find the location, you can use a search for an address or a location. So you can search for a town site, or you can search for a specific address. You can also use the aerial photographs or the satellite imagery. If you have a shapefile, you're able to upload that. If you don't have a shapefile, you're able to use the mapping tool. And there's many layers that you're able to bring up as well, such as land titles, cadastre, that may help you more specifically locate where the ACH or the Aboriginal heritage is located. This is demonstrating a tool to search or to find the area or a distance. And here is the location where you'd upload a shapefile if you have one. If you don't have a shapefile, you'd need to draw a polygon. I'd also mention too that the tool also doesn't let you provide a point or a line, it has to be an area. So the tool will restrict your submission to an area. So it's really important that you have an accurate representation of where that site exists. You can also bring up the existing Aboriginal heritage information, so the registered sites, lodge sites and historic layers. So again, this is demonstrating the way to find the location that you're interested in and where the Aboriginal site exists. And then drawing the shape using the tool. So as soon as you click, it'll start to create a polygon. And the aerial photographs underneath are probably very helpful because they'll go down to the detail of showing individual bushes or the edge of waterways, and also the underlying existing heritage information that's been provided to the department in the past. You'll select the region that you're in for the Aboriginal site, and here we'd have provide information about how you establish the boundary of that place, whether it's the edge of the material main, such as a stone artefact scatter, or if it's associated with a dreaming narrative or a sacred place or a ceremonial place, the boundary of where the edge of that site exists. You'd also provide the name of the site. And here you talk about or say whether there is culturally sensitive information or not. All the information that you're submitting or any intersections. The type of site needs to be presented, whether under the Act it's 5A, B, C or D. You can click multiple of these too, so if it's a 5A and a 5B, so where there are material mains and where there are sacred associations, they can both be added if that exists. Information about to whom the places of importance and significance and why the places of importance and significance. And this is relevant because the Act, 1972 Act, talks about importance and significance about an Aboriginal site. So all these questions are mandatory and you need to fill them in to the best of your ability. The next section is whether this is submission is associated with an application such as a regulation 710 or section 16 or section 18. Further information about how the place is associated with traditional practices, aesthetic values, whether there's ethnographic or archaeological interest, and also details about the site condition. This section's about providing information about who the relevant knowledge holders of the place are. This is particularly relevant where culturally sensitive information is being provided. If there are requests to view the information, the department would provide the names of the people who may be contacted to give authority to release that culturally sensitive information. And these questions are about providing some detail about the connection that person has with this site. Under the 1972 Act, all the submissions, I suppose, require an assessment for the Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Committee to consider whether the information meets the criteria defined under Section 5 of the 1972 Act. The last part of the section is a place where supporting documents can be uploaded, whether these are photographs, more detailed descriptions detailing the Aboriginal site, or any report attachments. So anything that is relevant they'll build that story and build that understanding of how the place is important and what Aboriginal heritage values exist at the place. And attachments can be up to 50 megabytes at this point in time, each file upload, and you can add multiple files. At the end, it'll provide a summary of the information that you provided and a declaration that, to the best of your knowledge, that the information is correct. In regards to culturally sensitive information, there is no requirement to supply culturally sensitive information. You can describe the information in a broader sense or conceal that information while still notifying the department that the Aboriginal site exists. But again, if that culturally sensitive information is provided in the submission, the department has means to restrict the visibility of that information. So this is a review of the information that's been drafted, and you can log out of your portal account and it will save the information before you submit it, so you can come back to it another time. You can also print it as a PDF or a Word from your portal account if you want to distribute it to other people before submitting it for review. Once you have submitted your information, you'll get a case reference number, and that case reference number can be used in future correspondence with the department for future tracking. So once that submission is with the department, it'll go through a process of assessment to make sure that the information matches. If that information is consistent, then it will work its way through the process of being considered to be added to the register of Aboriginal sites and objects. And the Aboriginal Cultural Heritage committee will play a role in the assessment of that place after it goes through a procedural fairness process. The initial stages of the submission, once it is conformed and entered into the system, then it will be represented onto the public database, or the AHIS, Aboriginal Heritage Information System, the public map viewer, where the boundary of that place will be represented, and the upper level information such as the site name or the site type will be shown. If the location is restricted for any reason, then a dithered or a larger boundary will be shown on the public viewer that doesn't show the exact boundary. The exact boundary will be masked if the location is restricted. The submission of Aboriginal cultural heritage information to the department is very important in terms of site protection for the ongoing management of Aboriginal heritage in the state of Western Australia. The greater the visibility of where places exist or might exist, and that can contribute to the better management and protection of Aboriginal heritage within the state. If you have any questions about any details of the process of submitting Aboriginal cultural heritage information, please reach out to the department before you submit the application. Officers are there to help with assisting people in reporting Aboriginal heritage information. And it's good to iron out any issues before it's submitted if that's the case. Thank you for listening to this webinar, and we hope that you've gained value out of it. Thank you very much.